Hello and welcome to another weekend of Championship predictions from the Oz Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap what we predicted in midweek, and the results are two perfect scores overall. One for myself and one from Mr. Daniel Cody. Mine was a 2-1 victory for Cardiff against Stoke, and Daniel Cody's is Nottingham Forest's 3-1 victory against QPR. But overall, Daniel Cody has more ones to his side, so he wins by 9 points to 6. So let's get on with this weekend's action. There are 9 games out of 12. There's a couple of teams in the FA Cup quarter-finals. So we start off with 2 early games on Saturday. It's Derby County versus Coventry City. Derby lost 3-1 away at Blackburn, and Coventry lost 2-0 home to Hull. So more pressure on Derby now, considering Barnsley won, and is the playoff dream over now for Coventry?
It's hard to say because every team's so inconsistent. They're still only 5 points away. I wouldn't rule it out just yet. They had a lot more of the ball. They had more shots. But again, they weren't ruthless enough. And it goes back to something that happened last season with them quite a lot. But it's a very disappointing defeat for them. For Derby, the results went against them, didn't they? As you said, Barnsley won. I mean, even Reading picked up the late point, which puts them further away. You start to wonder if it's the end. 6 points behind safety now. This is an absolutely massive game for Derby. We know they're so much better at home than they are away. The last home game they played against anyone other than the top sides, they beat Barnsley 2-0 at home. They need a repeat. I'm going for the old romantics, and it's costing me a lot of points going for the relegation battle in size to get wins at home. But I'm going to go for Derby to nick it. 1-0, ugly as you like, but they have to win.
I'm not sure. I think it might be done. Big week. Obviously started well, Derby, and they conceded 2 in a few minutes against Blackburn in the second half. It just killed that momentum for them. Away form is not great. Home form's a lot better for Derby anyway. Coventry, surprise defeat for me. Fair play as a whole. Considering they lost to Luton last midweek, beat Sheffield United to get that momentum back, and then you lose it straight away to Hull. So a really mixed week for them at home. So they go away this time. I think they might do a bit better away from home. So I'm going to go by 2-1 to Coventry. Right, Yorkshire Derby is next. It's a Sheffield United versus Barnsley at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United drew 0-0 away at Blackpool, and Barnsley a very good 2-0 victory at home against Bristol City.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest, we've got to hold our hands up. They are the first team that we said they were done when Marcus Schott was leaving the club. And you've got to give the new man credit. He's taken time, but he's got that team organised. They don't concede many goals in recent weeks, and they're only 2 points away now, and they've got a better goal difference. So it made such a difference shoring that defence up. And let's be honest, it was over after 20 minutes against Bristol City. They had a few chances, but Bristol City haven't been the most ruthless side this year, so we understand why Barnsley held on. Sheffield United, it's a worrying thing to say. They're becoming inconsistent at the very wrong time of the season. A 4-1 win, then a 4-1 defeat, and then a 0-0 at a very sturdy Blackpool side. But they didn't create an awful lot. They didn't look great. 2 weeks ago, this is a home banker. I'm not so sure now. I'd fancy Barnsley to nick a point, you know. If Sheffield United are at their best, they can roll them over. They can win 2 or 3, but I'm going to stick with a 1-1 draw, Championship's favourite scoreline.
Unfortunately, I think this might go back to another defeat. Sheffield United are much stronger at home, much stronger at home since Paul Heckenbottom has arrived at the club. As a first team manager, shall I say. Yeah, Barnsley, good result. Sheffield United, tough week. Did have a couple of goals disallowed at Sheffield United. So I think it'll be a tight game. I can see it being 2 late goals. I think Barnsley will hold a lot of resistance, be stubborn, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 Sheffield United win. Right, next up is Bristol City versus West Brom Ashton Gate. Bristol City lost 2-0 away at Barnsley, but West Brom beat Fulham by 1-0. Wow. Didn't see that one coming.
Well, no, I'm annoyed with myself again because quite a few times in recent weeks I've bottled things and gone for a draw when I've had a hunch for someone, and West Brom was another one of those. But to be fair, we said what would the momentum of that late comeback against Huddersfield do, albeit assisted by the referee, and it seems to have had one hell of an effect. It's 7 points out of 9. And now West Brom are back 6 points within the playoffs with teams like Blackburn, QPR, and even Sheffield United, as we just mentioned, faltering. So could Brucey do it again? You just don't know. They're playing against a Bristol City side, and Bristol City are one of those few sides with nothing to play for. They're so bad at the back. The 2 goals against Barnsley, they weren't the best ones in the world that they conceded. So I have to bank on West Brom. I know they've not been great away from home all season. They've only won 5 out of 19, but they have got a lot more home games to come after. So West Brom to nick it, it'll be ugly. I'm going to go 2-0. I think they'll get a late second because Bristol City, a bit ropey from set pieces.
I'm going to go 1-1. I have nothing to say about these 2 teams, I'll be honest. Like, to be fair, good result for West Brom. The important thing is they kept a clean sheet against a Fulham of all teams as well. So obviously Fulham didn't really play well at all. But credit to West Brom, very good victory. That's probably what the performance Bruce pretty much needed. Bristol City, it doesn't surprise me if they lost to Barnsley. It doesn't. But at home, we said this before, they are better at home. If they concede less than 2, they have a chance. So I think they have a chance. So I'm going to go for the Championship scoreline of 1-1. Right, next up, massive game for the fight for promotion. It's his third versus second. It's Huddersfield versus Bournemouth. Huddersfield lost for the first time in like forever. They lost 2-0 away at Millwall. Bournemouth drew 1-1 with Reading at home. Massive game. Is Bournemouth going to bottle it, or do you think Huddersfield's home form will be good again?
I don't know. I almost think Bournemouth, to be honest, will be happy they're on the road because they've had 3 home games in a row. They played against 3 of the bottom 4 and didn't beat 2 of them, which is a big surprise. Again, late on against Reading, just a poor goal to concede. Huddersfield, it was a poor result at Millwall. I think we saw it coming a little bit. I think I predicted a Millwall win in midweek, but it wasn't their best display. And we are getting to that stage of the season now where the pressure's on, and it seems like no one wants to get there. Huddersfield deserve to lose, in my opinion. Bournemouth have been flattering to the sea for a while. It's 1 win in 4. And when you consider they've not played a team in the top half, that will be a big concern for them. Do I put my Luton hat on here and hope for a Huddersfield win so we're within 3 points and we got second in our destiny? I don't know. I'm going to go, I think Huddersfield will win. Huddersfield are so good at home. They've won 10 games. They've only lost 3 all season. They barely let in any goals. 2-1 Huddersfield.
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in this game. I think it's going to be very entertaining. If the crowd are there at the J Smiths, I can see it being really hostile like they were before they got promoted. Bournemouth I think Bournemouth desperately need to win this game more than what Huddersfield need to win this game. So they're going to probably be able out. Obviously, Scott Parker returns to the dugout this weekend because he got sent off and charged, and that doesn't surprise me. So, yeah, I think there's more pressure on Bournemouth in this game than Huddersfield. Huddersfield have been good at home. I think that defeat was coming, though, for Huddersfield because they just got a bit sloppy. Obviously, they had that 2-0 lead against West Brom, and they threw it away. They have conceded goals lately, so it has been coming. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to get that defeat away. It has that thing in the back of your mind. Oh, we're unbeaten. Nah, forget that now. It's done. Let's focus on the next one. But yeah, 2-2 draw for me. So I hope this will be an entertaining game on Saturday. Not a TV pick as well. Not a TV pick. Right, next up, it's Hull versus Luton at the MKM. Hull won 2-0 away at Coventry, and Luton won 4-0 against Preston. Let's start. We'll get to Luton in a second. Let's start with Hull. Very good away performance.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was the thing in common for both sides in midweek, which was ruthlessness, which is something we've not said about both of them a lot of the time this season. So Hull, fantastic. I don't think many people would have had a victory there. They made the most of their efforts and they were sturdy defensively, which, to be fair, Shota Arveladze inherited. But if he can make them more ruthless, then he's got a very solid Championship side next year. Luton were not great. I mean, we were discussing this before. We were both at the game in midweek. We had multiple gifts from the Preston goalkeeper, which we'll get to a bit differently. He just had one of those nights.
Preston are not playing this weekend, so we're going to have to talk about Preston now.
Well, I don't think there's too much into it. He just had one of those nights. But Luton took advantage of a defence that very rarely concedes a lot of goals since Ryan Lowe came in. So Luton have got to take the positives from that against a side that were unbeaten away in 6. It's a fabulous result. More injury concerns, though, which is going to be a big worry for the weekend. They ended up with 4 fullbacks and a winger as their back 5 at the end of the game. So that's my only armour concern. A quick shout out to Hull as well. I know it's not prediction related. 2 adult tickets for 29 quid on Saturday. Absolutely brilliant value for Championship football. So credit where it's due. And I'm looking forward to seeing the stadium. Hopefully it'll be rocking. I'm going to go for Heart over Head.
See, this is the problem now. We're in, as Luton fans, we're in this position where we're in the playoffs here. Oh, we need this team to lose. Oh, and I think when we did these start this prediction, when we needed Luton to survive, it's the exact same thing now.
Yeah, and the problem is every time Luton have gone into the playoffs this season, they've then lost, and that's my concern at the minute. And every away game I've been to this year, Luton have lost. So I'm a little bit
Stop going.
So I'm not going to go for a Luton defeat. I'm going to go 2-1 Luton. It worked for me in midweek. They got a win. I'm going to go for it again.
Yeah, look, well, very good. I'm happy for them, actually. That's a very good result. I think that's probably one of the best results of the midweek. They found Coventry out, which is excellent. I'm really proud of them. Don't take it to Saturday, please. Luton, on the other hand, yeah, it was easy. And Preston were god-awful. Every mistake. If I was a Preston fan, obviously, which I'm not, because you can tell by the scarf behind me, there were the 4 worst goals I've ever seen defended. There was that bad. Yeah, he had a bad night, Evenson. Very bad night. No one played well at all for Preston. But going back to Luton, good. We took chances, bad. We've got no centre-halves. I haven't made a prediction yet. I just kept rambling. You got 2-1. I'll happily take a 1-0 Luton right now. 1-0 away win for Luton at Hull. I'll be more than happy. Like the Loire last time they played each other up there. Right, moving on. Because we talked about Luton. We got other Championship teams to talk about. Reading. They are at home to Blackburn Rovers. Reading drew 1-1 late on thanks to a Tom in strike. And Blackburn beat Derby, their relegation rivals, 3-1. Will that be a confidence boost, that late equaliser for Reading? Or is that just paper over the cracks?
I'm more edging towards paper over the cracks purely because Peterborough did the same there a couple of weeks ago and got a point, and it didn't have much of an impact. Much better display defensively, has to be said. But 1 point isn't enough for them really at this stage because Barnsley keep getting results. Derby have picked up more than Reading recently. And look, they can't afford to keep conceding big goals. The one thing I will say, they've been better at home defensively. 1-0 defeat to Millwall, 2-1 win against Birmingham since Paul Ince took over. But I know Blackburn recently have played a lot of the top sides, but bar Bristol City, when they've played the bottom sides, like Derby at the weekend, they have generally picked up results, which has been pretty good to see. And Sam Gallagher ending his goal drought, Tyree Stolen doing the same. I think this could be the moment it turns for Blackburn. If they've had their pad run and they pick up form now, they're going to be in the playoffs. You've got no better chance than Reading. Even if they're not ruthless, they'll score 2-1 because Reading have got a lot of goals in them at home, but they concede even more.
They do. That's why I'm going to go for 1. Paul Ince against his old side as well. Yeah, it's not enough. Oh, yeah, to be fair, it's a good point away at Bournemouth, but Bournemouth do tend to switch off at home, but still a good point. And Ince took his goal well. Blackburn, coming from behind, that's a bit of confidence boost because they have been losing, obviously, recently. Well, for the last month, they have been losing games, but to come back into it, that will give Tony Mowbray's side a confidence boost, regardless of whether it's someone near the top or someone near the bottom. It's still a really tough game because Derby are not a bottom 3 side, really. They're mid-table if they didn't have the points deduction. But Reading will be just as hard. I think Blackburn might bully them early if they have the players fit. But I think 1 goal will do. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Blackburn. Right, 3 games to go. It's Stoke versus Millwall at the Bet365 Britannia. Stoke lost again. They lost 2-1 away at Cardiff, despite taking the lead. And Millwall beaten Huddersfield by 2-0. Mill on that good run. Stoke on a bad run. Surely it's a away win.
These are the ones you just get caught out on, aren't you? Millwall, the form team, they haven't conceded in 5. They haven't lost in God knows how long. Stoke haven't won in God knows how long. They can't stop conceding goals. And bar Lewis Baker, they can barely score one. So everything points to a Millwall away win, but we know what the Championship does. And I have a sneaky suspicion that Michael O'Neill might be in a boardroom before Saturday finding out that he needs to win this game to keep his job. So I've just got a horrible feeling. We've seen this with Millwall before, haven't we? Where it's just at the inopportune time. They're within 2 points of the playoffs. They're doing brilliantly. I've got a real hunch Stoke are going to nick it, and there's no basis for it whatsoever. So I'm just going to say 2-1 Stoke and move on. I'd like to see Millwall compete for the playoffs because Gary Rowett's done a fabulous job, but I have to go on a hunch on this because it's the way the Championship works.
I was going to write 1-0 Millwall. 1-0 Stoke, sorry. But I think Millwall will get the point, I'll be honest. 1-1 for me. Millwall have been excellent recently. Good to see Fabry took his 2 goals very, very well against a stubborn Huddersfield side. Stoke, it is worrying that it is literally just Lewis Baker scoring goals. Very, very worrying. And they're not defending either. They're losing games. Once again, they had that lead, but they threw it away again. And I know it's away from home, but I don't know what the mentality is. I can see Michael O'Neill lasting to the end of the season. I really can. There's 9 games to go. So I can see them lasting to the end of the season. They can't go down. I doubt they'll make I don't think they'll make the playoffs. They're nowhere near it. But it'd be interesting in May, June, to see what happens with Stoke. Do they need to go to another new direction? Because it hasn't worked since they've already got relegated. So it's worrying times of Stoke. It has been pretty poor, but it's one of those games that you can get the point. They got that point against Forest, who are up there as well. So I think they could do it again. They can get a point against a team that's up there. So that's where I'm going to go. So 1-1 for me. Need to stop the rot of losing games at home. Right, 2 games to go. Swansea versus Birmingham. Swansea won 3-2 away at Peterborough. And Birmingham, they lost 2-0 to Middlesbrough. Lee Bowyer said at the end of the game that he is having a major clear out in the summer.
Yeah, and I bet he wishes there'd be a major clear out in the boardroom as well, quite frankly. But these things won't happen. The worrying thing was late on, 2 goals down, to give away a silly red card that then affects the next game as well is a big concern. Swansea, I know they got the late win, and you've got to credit the character to come back and win because they were absolutely dominant first half, somehow only went in 1 up, and then it looked like it was going to be same old Swansea. Ricky J. Jones created the equaliser for Peterborough, but then the second goal, I mean, what Carl Norton's doing, I don't know, you won't have seen it yet. You'll have to have a look because it will make you go on another Swansea rant. Let's put it that way. Look, they came back, they won it. They deserve to win it over the balance of play, but it's a quite difficult one, actually, because Swansea are a bit better at home and Birmingham generally are a bit better or more threatening away from home. I think this is going to be the unsuspecting thriller of the weekend. Nobody's got anything to play for. I think it's going to be goals galore, and I'm bringing out a classic. I want to go 3-2 either way, but I can't split them. So let's go 3-0.
I'm going to go Swansea. If they play it right.
Now I know you haven't seen that highlight.
I know, I'm literally trying to put on as I talk. If they put it right, they can easily win this game. Birmingham, I generally do not know what to expect from Birmingham. I'll be pretty honest. But I'm going to go Swansea to win by 2-0. And final game on Sunday, it is QPR versus Peterborough at the Kim Prince Foundation Stadium. QPR lost 3-1 away at Forest. And we just said Peterborough lost 3-2 to Swansea. So even though they put themselves a battle, Peterborough wasn't enough. Obviously, we said it's curtains from the ages ago, but if they have that sort of performance and turn those defeats into draws or into wins, they could still put up a fight. 9 games to go is not impossible.
It's not impossible, but you've got to bear in mind the other side of how Swansea play is that Peterborough were chasing the ball a lot of the time. I think I mentioned Ricky J. Jones. I think he came off injured. I know Marriott made an impact, but you've got to have something special on the break when you're playing away. And Peterborough, look, you've got 5 points in 19 away games. It's absolutely awful. They're 1 away from conceding 50 goals away from home, so they are going to bring a landmark up there this year. But QPR are also hard to predict. I know Jed Spence scored an absolute rocket against them, so it's a little bit hard to judge after their win against Luton. But I really thought they were going to find form, as Craig has just seen that highlight. And
oh my God.
But back to QPR, Peterborough. Peterborough will concede goals. I'm going to put it like this. If QPR can't win this game at home to Peterborough, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. It's as simple as that for Peterborough's away form this year. QPR will win. I'm going to go for a comfortable, comprehensive 2-0 to finish off.
I'm going to go 3-1 QPR. I'd said they didn't play well against Luton. Well, we both said they didn't play well against Luton. Got away with it with 3 points. Didn't play well against Nottingham Forest and got found out. They got done. Only had one shot on target, which was the goal from Andre Gray. And they got found out. Yeah, Jed Spence scored a worldie. It was a great strike. But after that, it's just poor. And I said to you privately, and I said to you and Charlie, I said QPR at the moment, at the 5-6 teams, they're probably the weakest at the 5-6 teams. And you disagree. But that evidence kind of shows that they are pretty much one of the weaker sides. But if Forest and Middlesbrough get it right, then they can I think they go above them. I really do. So they've got to be careful, QPR. Luckily, they're probably playing Peterborough. Peterborough still got to work. They're playing better, Peterborough, but they're not getting the rewards. And they should have really got something out of that Swansea game. Should have really held on, lost late on to Swansea. But I'm going to go QPR to win 3-1. Let's have a quick recap what we just predicted for this weekend's action. And for a weekend, it's very, very tight. Loads of 2-1s and 1-0s. The odd goal in it. And then we get to the final two games where we say a 3-3 that Daniel Cody's picked and a 3-1 right at the end for myself for QPR to win. And those are predictions for this weekend's action in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and let us know your predictions. Don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.